It all began with a barely perceptible sound coming from inside a laboratory in Nevada. The sound of something being connected, of a controlled spark, of a prototype waking up. It was the signal that something new was being born within Tesla, something that promised to change not only the company, but the very concept of electric mobility. For years, engineers and scientists have been trying to push the limits of lithium-ion batteries. With each new cell, the same question recurred: how to achieve more power, more safety, and lower costs at the same time, until an idea began to take shape, replacing lithium with something simpler, more abundant, and more powerful. That's how the A1 battery was born, a simple name for a quiet revolution. While the world was looking to graphene, sodium, and even solid state, Tesla was betting on something that had always been there: aluminum. The same metal that shapes airplanes, bridges, and fuselages now became the beating heart of a new electric era. At first, few believed it. Impossible, some analysts said. Aluminum is unstable, difficult to control in ionic reactions. But within Tesla, the impossible was only the first step. Sparks's laboratory in Nevada became the epicenter of a secret race for perfect energy. Energy density was the holy grail. 700 watt key. This figure echoed among engineers as an almost mythical promise. If achieved, it would mean electric cars capable of driving 1,000 miles without recharging, a range so great that it would transform each vehicle into a small mobile power plant. The secret lay in the behavior of aluminum ions. 3 electrons per atom, 3 times more energy per unit than lithium. This difference seemed simple on paper, but it took years of experimentation to master. Each A1 cell was a story of trial, error, and reinvention. When the first prototype worked, the entire lab stopped. An almost reverent silence filled the room. The panel displayed something never before seen: full charge in just 5 minutes. No overheating, no failures, just pure, brilliant, incomprehensible efficiency. The news didn't come out immediately. Elon Musk knew that announcing it too early would be risky. Tesla tested the A1 in extreme conditions: heat, cold, impact, pressure. The battery withstood it all. It was as if aluminum had found its ultimate purpose: storing energy safely and lightly. From that moment on, everything changed. Engineers realized they no longer needed to build cars around large battery packs. They could reduce weight, increase space, and completely rethink the design. The Model 2 and Model Q were about to get a new heart. The A1 battery wasn't just more powerful, it was more durable. Initial estimates indicated up to 15,000 full charge cycles, equivalent to over 35 years of continuous use. This meant an end to degradation anxiety, an end to costly replacements, and the beginning of an era of permanence. Aluminum also brought something unexpected: safety. Unlike lithium, it didn't react violently with oxygen. The explosions and fires that so haunted the industry virtually disappeared. Crash tests showed vehicles remained intact even under high temperatures. But perhaps the greatest impact was outside the factories. Aluminum is one of the most abundant metals on the planet, present in the Earth's crust in enormous quantities. This reduced dependence on countries rich in lithium and cobalt, redrawing the geopolitical energy map. In Washington and Beijing, strategists began making calculations. A self-sufficient Tesla in batteries meant much more than a successful company. It meant technological independence, energy sovereignty, and a direct threat to the hegemony of traditional markets. Sustainability was another quiet triumph. Aluminum can be recycled almost infinitely, with minimal loss of efficiency. The closed loop, mining, use, reuse, turned Tesla into a circular energy factory, where nothing is lost, everything is renewed. Environmentalists, previously skeptical of battery production, saw A1 as an unexpected ally. The process generated up to 70% fewer pollutants and required 60% less energy to manufacture. It was the first time that a technological innovation also met the planet's needs. As testing continued, rumors began to leak. Images of silver cells, labeled A1 prototype, quietly circulated online. Some claim to have seen Elon Musk smile during an engineering meeting, a clear sign that something big was about to be revealed. In the hallways of Gigafactory Nevada, workers whispered about revamped assembly lines, new equipment, and the start of experimental production. What was being tested there, they said, wasn't just a battery. It was Tesla's entire future being rewritten. Journalists tried to obtain information, but everything was kept secret. Tesla had learned from the past. Certain revolutions require silence until the exact moment, and that moment was approaching. The company was planning a global event, but unlike anything before. Meanwhile, competitors watched. BYD, CATL, Toyota, all accelerated alternative projects, trying to achieve the same energy density. But Tesla already had the edge, complete control of the supply chain, from raw materials to management software. The A1 wasn't just a battery, it was an ecosystem. It integrated with the car's energy management system, optimized charge distribution, and communicated with the home power grid. A Tesla with the A1 could literally power a home for days. With this technology, the concept of car began to change. It was no longer a means of transportation, but a living extension of the electrical infrastructure. Tesla was transforming every vehicle into an intelligent node within a planetary energy grid. Cost, once the biggest obstacle, has now come crashing down. Early projections indicated values between $40 and $65 per kilowatt-hours. This made it possible to manufacture a Model 2 for less than $12,000, something unthinkable just a few years ago. The access revolution was finally underway. On online forums, Tesla fans speculated about dates, prototypes, and possible partnerships. Some spoke of a hybrid version of aluminum and sodium. Others swore the Cybertruck was already secretly testing A1 cells. Curiosity turned into a frenzy. The charging speed, just 5 minutes, seemed almost supernatural. Supercharger stations needed to be adapted, and new infrastructure was designed. Soon, recharging a car would be as fast as filling up with gasoline, but without the smell, noise, or guilt. Initial field tests confirmed the impossible. The experimental Model 2 traveled 988 miles on a single charge. No sudden drops in performance, no unusual overheating. Just silence, speed, and a sense that the future had arrived early. In a short interview, Elon Musk dropped a phrase that set the internet ablaze. Aluminum was what we were looking for all along. Since then, A1 has become the most talked about topic across the technology and energy industry. The media tried to understand the impact. Analysts calculated that with mass production, Tesla could reduce the total cost of its vehicles by up to 40%. This wasn't just innovation. It was total market disruption, something that called into question the very relevance of combustion engines. Mining companies began re-evaluating contracts. Lithium exporting countries like Chile and Bolivia feared a sudden decline in demand. The world was moving toward a new equilibrium, where aluminum became the gold of the 21st century. The scientific community also mobilized. Stanford, MIT, and Oxford universities announced collaborations with Tesla to explore new electrolyte variations and recycling methods. It was the birth of a new discipline, the electrochemistry of the future. The impact wasn't limited to cars. Elon Musk revealed plans to use A1 in stationary batteries for homes and mega-energy projects. Entire cities could run on energy stored in aluminum, clean, safe, and infinite. Inside Tesla, engineers knew there were still challenges. Performance in extremely low temperatures, for example, needed to be adjusted. But advances in thermal insulation and new coolants already pointed to promising solutions. The A1's true power lay not just in its numbers, but in its underlying philosophy. A simple idea: use what we already have more intelligently. In a world obsessed with exotic discoveries, Tesla showed that revolution could come from the most common metal on Earth. The narrative began to spread. Videos, theories, and speculations took over the networks. The public felt they were witnessing something greater than innovation. It was the beginning of a new industrial era, as significant as the steam engine revolution. At a closed event, Tesla unveiled the first A1 production line. Cameras were banned, but reports describe a hypermodern, fully automated structure with robots optimizing each cell. It was engineering elevated to art. The first A1-equipped vehicles were already being tested internally, and according to rumors, the performance exceeded all expectations. Instant acceleration, nearly endless range, and zero noticeable degradation after thousands of recharges. Investors immediately understood the significance. Tesla's shares soared, driven by the promise of a technology that could redefine the entire global energy mix. The market would never be the same again. Meanwhile, Elon Musk remained enigmatic. He simply said, "You'll understand when you see it." The phrase sounded like a riddle, and the world waited, anxious, impatient, fascinated. When the day of the reveal arrived, the stage was set. A dark room, red lights, and a deep bass echoing in the background. The curtain rose, and there it was. The A1 drum kit, compact, silver, pulsing beneath a glass dome. The audience fell silent. Elon Musk smiled. He said that this small structure was the result of decades of research and a vision to unleash the planet's energy. He spoke not just as an engineer, but as someone who understood the symbolic power of every innovation. At that moment, the audience realized that Tesla wasn't just launching a battery. It was launching a new chapter in human history. Electrification was no longer a distant dream. It was now tangible, rapid, affordable, and infinite. With the A1, the waiting period was over. The world entered a new rhythm, a new energetic pulse driven not by oil, but by intelligence, engineering, and courage. The future had finally found its ideal fuel, and perhaps most fascinating of all is to think that this revolution began with something as simple as aluminum, a common metal that, in the right hands, became a symbol of a new technological awakening. In the end, the message was clear. It's not just about creating cars. It's about creating possibilities. And each Tesla discovery reminds us that the impossible is just the beginning of the inevitable. The A1 battery is more than innovation. It's an invitation to reimagine the future, a future where energy and freedom walk side by side, without noise, without borders, without limits. If Tesla has taught us anything, it's that the future belongs to those who dare to imagine what doesn't yet exist. The A1 battery is living proof that human curiosity can shape realities, reinvent industries, and redefine what we call progress. Every cell created is a step toward a cleaner, smarter, and more connected planet. If you also believe that technology can be a force for good, that the impossible can be challenged, and that the future has already begun, then this is the right place for you. Subscribe to the channel and join us on this electrifying journey toward the next great energy revolution. The future is lighting up, and you'll want to be here when it shines.